Hey everybody, today Rado runs through Spyrium, which is a worker placement game from designer William Attia, who some might argue is the father of the modern worker placement game, seeing as how he designed Kalis, which is the game that really popularized the notion of worker placement. And you know, this is his first game in several years. It's kind of on the heavier end of the Euro spectrum, and as it happens, it made just shy. It was just shy of making our top 10 games of the year, and on my top 10 2013. And I'm going to try and show you why in this run through. Now, in the game, it's the age of industrialization in England, and there's a new mineral. This is, I guess you could call it an alternate Earth England, kind of a steampunkish kind of world, because they've discovered this new mineral called Spyrium, which is an incredible new power source that has revolutionized the world. Hence, the Industrial Revolution is going on in England. And we are industrialists trying to take advantage of that. Now, the game takes place over 6 rounds, and every round, the first thing that happens is 9 of these opportunity cards get laid out. And so here we are in the first round. I've already put the 9 out. Here's rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see the end of the game coming a mile away. Also, there is an event. You can tell this little newspaper. The event today is you can sell Spyrium for $3, or you can sell 3 Spyrium for $6. That's not always something you'll be able to do. But that's going to be the case for this first round of the game. For the second round of the game, we are going to be able to pay money to hire an additional worker and add to our workforce if we want to. I guess this must be like some kind of foreign labor event, as opposed to this is some kind of foreign markets event. It's really kind of a shame. Every one of these cards makes a lot of thematic sense, but Ystari did not actually put the names on the cards, so you don't know what they are. But it's really, every one of these cards has a name. They all make thematic sense, but really all you end up doing is just looking at the icons. But anyway, I'll talk more about that in the final thoughts. Long story short, this is actually a very thematically grounded game where everything makes nice, solid sense. But anyway, so this first year, I guess, of the 6 years we're going to play, we could sell our excess Spyrium for money if we want to. We don't have to, but that's our opportunity. And now at the beginning of the game, everybody starts with a workforce of 3 meeples. We all start, it says right here on our little card, we start with 3 meeples, 2 Spyrium, and 8 pounds. Okay, so Jen and I are set up. The 9 opportunity cards have come up. The events are set. And now we can start playing. And I'm the first player, so let's go. So the first thing that happens every round is, well, in addition to being industrialists, building factories and converting Spyrium and all this other stuff, we're also slumlords. We actually own the housing that all our workers live in. And at the beginning of the game, on the housing track, we're both here on this first base. So at the beginning of the round, each of us gets 2 pounds income from our poor workers who need someplace to live, and so they live in we're basically slumlords, effectively. So that means, really at the beginning of the game, we all start with 10 pounds, effectively, because that'll always happen in the first round. So, okay, first thing we do is we get our rent, and then we start playing. Now, I'm the first player, so I will go first. And now, every round basically is a series of placing workers out onto this board, this variable board, and then collecting them at a later date, pulling them off the board to actually do an action. So this is not the kind of thing where you put the worker down and immediately do it. It's a very tactile thing of where do I put my workers, where do you put your workers, and then later on we start pulling them off and doing the actions. And that's actually indicated here on this player board. Every round takes place over 2 phases. We're in the first phase right now, which is why we have our little markers here. Each of us is in the first phase. During the first phase, on your turn, you can either place a worker, activate the event. Again, this is a one-time activation. If I need some money, I could sell some Spyrium to get some money. So you can place a worker, activate the event, or you could move, that's what the 2 is, to the second phase. And what that means is, now that I'm in the second phase, I can, instead of placing workers, I can remove workers and I can activate them. I can still do the event, and if I have any factories or universities or whatever, I can also activate them. But when I'm in this first phase, I cannot activate my buildings. I can't pull workers off. Once I switch over here, I can start pulling workers off, but I can't place anymore. And you can make this switch whenever you want. This is actually the crux. One of the very, very interesting things about the game is that, you start in this first phase, and whenever you want, you're kind of in a race to get to whoever gets to the second phase first gets to take advantage of their workers first. So we're in the first phase now, though. And so remember, I can either activate this, I can make some money by selling Spyrium, or I could place a worker, or I could go to the second phase. I'm going to place a worker. Hello, Bob. What are you going to do? Now, when you place workers, you do not put them on the cards, which might be what you think. You don't put them on the cards. You put them in the lanes or surrounding the cards. You always put them between any two cards you want. You cannot put them on the outskirts. You have to put, so I can put them here, 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 you know, et cetera, et cetera. And by putting them down, what you're doing is you are, this guy's not going to do anything immediately, but depending on where I put him, so if I put him here, let's say, that means later on, when I move to the second phase and I eventually pull him off the board, I could actually have him activate this card or this card. So really, you're kind of, hedging your bets. When you're placing these things, there's cards you really want to activate, but maybe I really want to activate this card, but maybe I won't get a chance to because somebody else will beat me to it. So should I put my guy here so I have this card as a fallback, or here so I have this card as a fallback, or this card as a fallback, or this card as a fallback? Which is the better fallback, etc., etc. So now I got to think about which of these cards do I want to activate when I eventually start pulling workers off the board. And there are 3 types of cards in the game, and actually all 3 of them are out. There's these blue ones. These are buildings. To activate these cards mean that I actually take the card and it becomes a building that I have over in my own personal area that I can use whenever I want. So, the first person to activate these buildings gets them and takes them from everybody else, and then it becomes a permanent addition to their abilities. Now, also, there are these people. You can visit these people, and these cards stay on the board. So they can be visited potentially multiple times. And when you activate them, you do whatever they say. This apprentice guy here, whenever you activate an apprentice, whenever you temporarily hire an apprentice, this is an opportunity to give up a Spyrium to get 3 victory points, because you put him to work with a Spyrium, and he comes up with a way to use it, because he's your apprentice, and you get some victory points. If I visit this guy over here, this bureaucrat, he gives 1 victory point. And I'd say I should talk about this. As part of the setup, when all these cards came out, some cards have this blue symbol. What that means is you draw from the chicken cup, although if you don't have a chicken cup, actually shouldn't everybody? These are all just face down and you draw randomly. So you draw these chits. They all have 1s, 2s, or 3s on them. So that means this guy could have randomly given 1 victory point, 2 victory points, or 3 victory points. Now he turned out being the worst he could be. I don't think anybody's going to want to visit the politician because he's not giving very many victory points this particular turn. If he was giving 3 victory points, 3 victory points for a worker, that's a great return. But 1 is not so great. So, and now this guy over here, the architect, if we visit him, we have to pay £2 to basically build up more of our residential housing so that we can become better slumlords. And so, but this guy, we visit him, and we just get to turn our Spyrium into victory points. So that's 3 opportunities. Now the interesting thing is, once somebody visits this guy and uses this and pays £2, this gets removed, and now nobody else can visit him. Even though the card will stay here on the board, there's this guy, any number of players can visit him, any number of workers can activate him. But this and this are one-time activations. Now with more players, if we were playing a 3-player game, there would be 4 of these. So this could be activated 3 times and the 4th player would not get a chance to visit him. But anyway, as it is, in a 2-player game, which is what I'm playing today, only 1 visit to those 2 guys. So there's the buildings we could actually build, the people we could visit to get benefits, and there are patents, and it looks like there's 1 of them out here. Now if we take this, and this is expensive, this costs $6. This is the most expensive thing on the board. Although these buildings are $5, but $6. This is a patent, which means I get a super ability for the rest of the game that nobody else has. Now this one, I forget what it's called, monetization? What is it called? Again, they're all the names. It's just such a shame the names aren't on the cards. It really drives me nuts. Where is it? This is capitalization. So if I patent the notion of capitalization, I put this over here, and that means at the end of the game, I will for the money I have left over, I will get 1 victory point for every $2. Normally, money is worth nothing, but if you have capitalization in your back pocket, you can score points for your leftover money. And also, I have the ability to earn 2 additional pounds whenever my workers make money. So this is a very nice patent to have because only 1 person can do it if they're the ones who get it. You know what? That does sound really nice. Money can get crazy tight in this game, and I start with $10, so I can afford it. So I think I want to get this patent before somebody else does. So that means I'm going to put my worker either here or here because I'm really hoping to get this card. But now it might be that Jen gets the patent before I do, so I got to be thinking about what's my fallback. I guess my fallback will be over here, because if I build this building, it increases my labor force. I get an additional worker permanently for the rest of the game. So that's really nice too. Plus, I get 3 victory points. So that's a nice first placement. So I place there. Now it is Jen's turn. And again, she's got the same options. She could give up Spyrium for money, she could go to the second phase, or she could place workers. And of course, she's going to place workers. Now, what does she want to do? Now, she really likes that patent too. And you know what, quite frankly, she really likes this worker thing. So she is going to place in the exact same spot. There's no limit. Any number of players can place their workers between, I could put another one here if I wanted. There's limitless space. So Jen has kind of copycatted me, and now we know we're going to have some competition because these are both really, really awesome. Now, what else do I want to do? So it comes back to my turn again. Now, here's the thing. If I want, I could place another worker, or I could say, Jen might be trying to steal the patent. So if I wanted, I could jump the gun and switch over here to pull my worker off and grab the patent before it's too late. But if I do that, if once I've moved over here, I can't place workers anymore, so my other 2 workers will be wasted and will do nothing. That is a core tension of the game. You want to grab what you want to grab first, but if you move too quick, you won't get your workers, you won't put your workers to work. So I'm going to place another worker, definitely. Let's see, what else would I like? I think I'll place another worker down here. And so I'm next to this architect, which would let me increase my power of the slums. I'd rather come here if he only costs £1, but £2 isn't as much as 3. So I could still afford to get this guy and increase my slumlord ability, which means I get more income for the rest of the game. So that's pretty nice. Or my guy could come to this little factory instead. And I could build this factory, which means in the future I could use workers plus Spyrium to generate victory points. So I can start industrializing. Now it's Jen's turn again. What is she going to do? She is going to place a worker here. So now she has 2 workers that are potentially vying for this building, which gives you more workers. But this guy could also be focusing, and I don't know yet. I don't know what Jen's planning on using this guy for, whether she wants the worker, although I suspect, she's putting a lot of workers here, but maybe she cares more about this factory, which is better than mine. In fact, I probably should have put my worker here. Well, that's interesting. These factories are the same. This one's worth 1 victory point. This one's worth 2 victory points. This one costs £5. This one costs £2. This one, a worker and a Spyrium makes 3 points. This one, a worker and a Spyrium makes 4 points. I am going to stick by this one because while this is a better factory, it's significantly more expensive, and I'd be happy enough getting the cheap one. So anyway, Jen came over here, so maybe she wants that expensive factory. Who knows? And so now it's my turn again. So I've got 1 more worker I could place on the board to try and do more stuff. Or I could shift to phase 2 now, and instead of placing a worker, I could start pulling workers off the board. Well, I'm not too worried, because even if Jen grabs the patent, I'll be happy to grab this. So I think I'm going to put all my workers to work. And let's see, so I can maximize my potential. And you know what? This apprentice is not going to come up again. 1 Spyrium for 3 points, that's pretty good return. See, down here, my factory, I have to give a Spyrium and a worker to get 3 points. This is me basically, plus I had to place a worker to get this thing. So this is a better return. What the heck, I guess I'll go on ahead and grab this space. Also, this is nice too, because if I wanted, I could grab this mine, where mines are awesome, because every turn for the rest of the game, if I get this mine, I will get 1 Spyrium for free. Or if I use workers, I can get 2 Spyrium. That's really awesome. All right, and so now Jen, she could place another worker, or she could be in a rush and pass so that she gets first dibs on stuff. And I think she's going to do that. Jen is not going to place her final worker. Remember, she has a choice. She could either place workers, she could do the event. She's not doing the event either, because you can do the event in the first or second half. She's waiting on the event. She is going to shift. And so now that means she is the first player to get to activate her workers. She gets to do it before I do. And now, interestingly, I'm off here by myself, but both of us are contending for these 2 cards. So I think that means Jen is probably going to grab one of these cards before I get a chance to get it, because Jen did not want to take a chance on missing it. And that's exactly what she's going to do. Jen is going to pull this worker off the table. Okay. And now this worker does not come back to her worker card, where this other guy is just kind of standing around waiting to do something. This guy is spent. He's done. So he just gets put off to the side. Now, Whenever you pull a worker off the board, you have a choice. He can do one of two things. He can either activate the card, which is what I talked about up front. So this guy, pulling him off the board, that means Jen could either build this building or she could take this patent, one or the other, right? And, right. Oh, I didn't do the math right. Oh, dear. She's got $10. Oh. Oh, my. Okay. Right. So, yeah, okay, sorry. I really should have thought Jen's thing through a bit more. I think as much as Jen wants to jump the gun with her little poor deformed meeple here, she's going to wait a little bit. She's not going to do it because I didn't actually count up. Because Jen only has $10. What she was thinking she was going to do is she was going to pull out really quick and try to grab this worker thing for £5 and also grab this factory for £5. That's £10. You'd think she has enough. She starts with 10, but it's not enough because if she wanted to pull this guy off to basically build this building, it would cost 5 plus the amount of people who are still on the board. So since there are 2 guys next to it, the value of this building is temporarily raised. All these workers here represent the fact that we're all vying to be the ones to build this housing. So if Jen wants to be the one to build the housing, it doesn't cost 5, it costs 6, 7, because its price has been raised because there's competition. And so if Jen paid 7 for this, then she won't have enough money left over to pay for this factory. So Jen cannot jump the gun. As much as she'd like to, she won't have enough money to do everything she wants. So Jen is going to put one more worker on the board, and she's going to put it right there. Okay, and now it's my turn again. I have placed all my workers. I don't have any more workers to place, so I am now going to shift sides and start pulling workers off the board, which means now Jen lost her first, her first rights. She would have been able to be in here, but I got there first. So what am I going to do? Let's say I really wanted that. See, here's the thing. I really wanted to get this patent, which costs $6, but it really costs 7, because if I pull this guy off the board now to get this patent, if I pull him off the board, it will cost me 6 plus 1. It'll cost me 7. 8, 9. Actually, this does work out. This works out fine. So I'm going to pull this guy off the board. And now I will continue with what I was saying before. When you pull a guy off the board and he comes over here, he's spent, he's all tuckered out, he has a choice. He either could have activated one of these cards, or he could have worked. He could have just generated income. Now, if I pulled him off the board to generate income, he would generate income equal to the number of workers who are still by the card. So if I pulled him off the board and said, "Hey, I was working in this area," that means he would make for me 1, 2, 3 pounds. Which is a great. I'd have more income, but I'm not doing that. Instead of pulling him off the board to work, I'm pulling him off the board to grab a card. I'm going to grab this patent. Okay, and so it cost me 6 plus 1 because of Jen's guy. So it cost me 7 pounds. 5, 6, 7. Alrighty, and I got 3 pounds left over. And ta-da, I have gotten my first patent. Nobody else will ever have this. Now, all your patents, you can see, go to the left. All your buildings go to the right. So I put my patent in place, and this is now a permanent thing. At the end of the game, excess money I have will be worth points. And more importantly, whenever I try to generate points whenever I try to pull a guy off the board to get money, I get 2 additional pounds, and that's a big deal. Money is not going to be as tough for me as it is for Jen. So anyway, that was my turn. Now it's Jen's turn again. She's going to go on ahead and do the switch over as well. And now I pulled my one guy out, so Jen doesn't have any more competition for these things. So I think the first thing she'll do is she'll go on ahead and pull this guy off the board, not to activate this card, but instead to work. And now remember, so whenever you pull a guy off the board to work, you specify a card, and then however many workers there are there, you make that much money. So Jen makes 2 pounds because of the 2 guys who are already there. So now Jen has 12 pounds. Okay, my turn again. I'm going to pull another guy off the board. I am going to pull this guy off the board, and he visited the apprentice, which means I took one of my Spyrium and I paid it to make 3 points. 1, 2, 3. All right, there we go. Now it's Jen's turn again. She's going to pull another guy off the board. And now she'll pull this guy off the board. Now again, she could pull him off the board to make money, which would be only £1. But instead, she's going to pull him off the board to get one of these buildings. So, and now unfortunately, even though it's her own worker, because her worker is still here, she'll have to pay more. She's going to have to pay 5 plus 1. She'll pay £6 to get this building. And she's going to build it. This is worth 3 points at the end of the game. And now remember, it's a building, so it goes to the right of her starter card. She puts it here. And now, it costs money to buy the land. Jen just paid the resource and the contracts and whatnot to build the building, but she needed to own land. Now, the first building she ever builds gets put on her own personal land, which is why it doesn't cost anything. But if she wants to build another building, it would go here, and it would cost £1 to buy this real estate. And then to buy the next one would cost £2 and £3 and so on. But her first building was free, and because she has built it, she immediately gets one more worker, who immediately goes into her work pool. Oops, I got our worker cards backwards. Sorry. Jen should have the blue one. Not that it matters at all, but let's just be correct here. That was silly. All right. So Jen has put this guy to work, or because Jen has now built more housing, more workers have come to her that she can then employ, and there's this guy. All right, so that was Jen's move. It cost her £6 plus nothing for the real estate. And so now back to me. I've still got one guy on the board. I'm going to pull him off the board. And he can either visit this architect to improve my slum, so I can get more money off my slum, or he can visit this factory, which means I could pay £2. And now, since there's nobody else here, it would only cost me £2 to build my own factory, and I could put it in my own 0 slot. And so this is an interesting choice. This cost me £2 to make more money. This cost me £2 to be able to have my own factory. So if I built this, now here's the problem. I could build this right now, but I don't have any more workers. They're all tuckered out, and so I can't actually activate it this turn. However, on the other hand, this is worth 2 victory points. And in the future, if I have excess Spyrium, I could make 3 points. Or I could just pay this architect his £2, and I could increase myself on this meter, which means I'd be earning 3 points every round, or $3 every round, instead of $2 every round. And since I get extra money at the end of the game for having excess money, I think I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to just be Mr. Moneybags. When I pulled this guy off the board, he didn't get this factory. Instead, I pay £2 to visit the architect, and now nobody else could. If there are other people who are hoping to get there, it's too late. I got the only visit for him, and this gets knocked out of the game. And so I have a choice. I can either now increase from 2 to 3, so that for the rest of the game I'll be making $3 or £3 every round, or I could stay here and score 2 victory points. I think I care more about money though. I want to make a lot of money. This basically means that one move means I have made $5 because over the rest of the game for rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I'll make $3. I just made £5 off of that move. Although it cost me 2, so I netted 3 basically. Yeah, okay, I'll live with it. Okay. But anyway, so that was my last move. And now Jen's final move, she'll pull this guy off the board. And now she could pull him off the board to make money. But although she'd make nothing because there's nobody left on the board. So instead, she's pulling this guy off the board to build her second factory, which I think I did this right. Now, this costs 5, and since there's no more workers, it only costs 5. So here's her £5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus, I am a benevolent landlord. My people get gardens and chickens and beagles. I saw Jen walked over here, but I didn't know what she did. Apparently, she wanted to make it clear that she is not a slumlord. This is not a slum. This is wonderful worker housing that she has built. Anyway, so I'm sorry. So, it cost her 5 to build this, and because she's putting it into her second space, it costs her 1 additional pound to buy the real estate. And she has built a Spyrium laboratory. It cost her 1. It's worth 1 victory point. Cost her $6 total. All right. So, but we're not done yet. Even though we've pulled all our workers off the board, the round is still going. Because remember, not only do we pull our workers off the board, but we can do these events. And we can activate our buildings. Now me, I have no buildings to activate, but I will do an event. I'm going to go on ahead. Now this marker is just to keep track that I've activated my event. I can't do it again. I'm going to activate this event and spend 1 Spyrium. My last Spyrium, because I spent a Spyrium over here to get 3 points. I'll spend this Spyrium to get 3 more bucks. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So I'm ending the round with £4, and Jen's ending with nothing. So that'll put me in a much better position next next year to be able to buy better stuff. Okay. So I did that. Jen's turn again. Now she is going to activate one of her buildings. Now this one is a permanent thing. It doesn't activate. But this one, she's going to tap it to indicate that she is putting one guy to work, and she's using one of her Spyrium to get 4 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there, her engine has begun. Now Jen's going to need to find a way to keep generating more Spyrium, and she's always going to want to keep a worker aside so that this guy could work in the laboratory to make victory points for her. But fortunately, since she got herself an extra worker, she's got a guy she can always, keep aside for that. So anyway, so this guy's worked. She spent the Spyrium, and she got 4 points. Now it's my turn again. And I've done everything I can do. I don't have anybody else I can pull off the board. I don't have any buildings. I've done the event, so I am passing now. And it's Jen's turn again. And on her last turn, if she wanted, now this is an interesting choice. She has 1 Spyrium left. She could go on ahead and do this event to take that last Spyrium and get 3 pounds, because currently she's totally broke. She will make 2 pounds, but if she wants more money, or does she not do that? So she saves her Spyrium so that next round she'll guarantee have a Spyrium that she could guarantee more points. What's more important? I think she's going to keep it, because who knows if she'll be able to get Spyrium next turn. And now these cards, nobody visited them, and as a result, these are removed from the game. And this one's really bummer. This mine, would have been a nice one to have. But, that's how it's worked out. These cards, they're all out of the game at the end of the round. The first player marker or card moves over to the next person. All your workers get back up and they're ready to work again. So you put them back over here on the card. I've got my 3. Jen's got her 4. And we're ready for the second round. So just going to put these cards out randomly. There's a patent, a university, another mine. So here's another opportunity to get free Spyrium. Another factory. 2 factories. They're the same except different victory points and costs. Another worker housing. Another patent, and okay, so there are no people to visit this turn, but there are 3 patents to have. Oh, and let's see. So we have to put more of these little guys out. This, if somebody builds this university, they will immediately score 3 victory points. Are there any others? Nope. All right. Oh, also, this event is done, and so now this will be the event where during this turn, if we want, we can spend 1 pound per worker we have to get an additional worker. So if Jen wanted to do this, she has 4, it would cost her 5 pounds to get a worker. For me, it only cost me 4 pounds. And we can see what's coming up in the future. For the third round, there will be the special action of being able, after you've used one of your buildings, you get to use it a second time if you pay a pound. Now Jen, her building is ready to use again. And we are now set up Jen with her, and we get income. Jen, she's a smaller slumlord, she gets 2 income, I get 3. And there we go. Okay, and now we're set up, ready to go on the second round. Jen is almost broke. But you know what? She's got a guy and a Spyrium that she is setting aside because they're going to work over here and score her 4 victory points. As long as she keeps doing that every turn, she's going to be pretty happy. And she's still got 3 workers. And remember, these workers can come out here to try to claim cards or to work to earn money. So Jen could have these guys really focus less on getting new cards and instead on going where I go so that she can make a lot of cash. Me, I've got a lot of cash, so I'm definitely going to try. Maybe I'll try and get another patent. Maybe I'll start trying to this university is very, very nice. This could have been a 1, but a 3 means getting this is worth 3 victory points, and I can use workers to get victory points for the rest of the game. And it only costs 2 pounds. So there's a lot of exciting options. There's another worker out here to be gotten. But if you'd like to see what's going to happen, you can hit the button that's on screen or follow the show notes to go to extended play or hit the other button for final thoughts. Your choice in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.